Panic. How do we deal with the things we cannot control?
For me, at the start of quarantine, my life turned completely upside down. I went from kind of living on my own in my own apartment at SoCal and then having to move back home with my parents and revert back to my life that I wanted to leave by going to CSUN, which was just having nothing to do, nowhere to go. And it just felt so, I thought I could handle it because that was what I was used to. And then slowly and surely I realized how much it would take a toll on me.
My life has been limited by the pandemic. Like, it just transformed my life altogether, where it's like the life I knew before no longer exists.
There was really no ending or no closure. I worked on campus, so I lost my job. And then I had to move because I lived on campus too.
I mean, I'm like coping, but I'm like not coping. I'm like coping as far as like I'm making do with what I have, but I'm not coping as like I get way less sleep. My anxiety is a little bit worse than it used to be.
At times it can feel like the end of the world, with little hope that we can survive and get to the other side. Except, we have survived. This isn't something new. Some might call it déjà vu. Because, in a sense, we've seen this all before. The Spanish flu of 1918. During the Spanish flu, some communities were forced by officials to quarantine. Citizens were required to wear masks. Schools, churches, and theaters were shut down. People were told to avoid shaking hands, avoid contact with others in general. And although most people wore masks because they were told to, some didn't. And out of this came the anti-maskers.
I mean, I feel very strongly about masks. I think that they're very essential. I think that they're necessary in order to slow this thing down.
Not really any skin off your back to wear a mask. And if you don't wear a mask, I think you're irresponsible or ignorant or both. And it's really that simple to me.
If someone's not wearing a mask, I just give them a wide berth and let them have their space, I say. Give them all the space they need.
I think masks are necessary. Like, we have scientists who devote their whole careers to for the betterment of people and to try and keep us safe.
I think in the beginning of quarantine, I actually went to the grocery store a lot. I would literally walk around my house and like ask people, is our fridge looking a little light, or do you need anything from Vaughn's? And then as it went on, I just kind of tried to make myself busy.
I watch way too much Netflix, more than I usually would. Basically watching the same show like 3 times. Like, I've watched Outer Banks 3 times and I couldn't tell you why.
I have just been really trying to continue aspects of my life that I can still continue, that were around before the pandemic began.
And I've kind of just been focusing on, I don't know, practicing my craft. Be the screenwriter I'm meant to be or something. I don't know.
Honestly, I was always kind of a bit of a homebody. So I really, when this hit, the main change for me personally was everything academically related. So I feel like, honestly, like my experience was very different from a lot of other people. Like, I didn't even like move back home because I've been commuting to school the whole time. I don't think my coping was as significant as a lot of other people were. It didn't really change too much.
So it pushed me more to talk to the friends I had, make new friends, and actually go out and pursue counseling because of how I was feeling. So it started from falling back to old habits and old ways, and then finding new ways to improve as time went on.
What I miss the most is like having a schedule. I know before quarantine it was day by day. I had my rituals, I had all my traditions. I would get in my car, turn on a podcast, I would speed. But now that's all gone, and I'm trying to find new traditions and rituals.
I went to a music festival a few months before COVID shut down, and I didn't realize that would be like one of the last like good memories I'd have before all of this. So you don't know the value of sweaty stoners throwing you around in a pit until it's ripped away from you very blatantly. So I really miss concerts. That's one of the things I miss the most.
We're all stuck at home, and like you can't ignore it anymore. Like it's right in front of you. All the injustices that are happening right now, and political stuff and all that. I just feel like it gives people more time to really reflect on how they want the future to be, and I feel like that's a good thing for our generation.
The mishandling of this pandemic was the last straw for a lot of people. And I think that the amount of participation in our country's democracy is going to increase because of this.
So I don't know, I feel like I'm a little more informed now because of COVID, and maybe it's just because I didn't have anything else to do but sit around and be tuned in to the state of the world.
Yeah, I've actually made a lot of friends that I didn't think I would from COVID. And I've talked to a lot of people that I don't know if I would have kept in contact with them the same way.
Yeah, I would say the one good thing that came out of this is this, both on a personal level and on a societal level, this reevaluation of our lives and how things are moving forward. I know that with all the hardship that everyone has faced on both levels and having to readjust, people are really, thinking about what they're doing, thinking about their plans, their beliefs. They're adapting in ways that are temporary, but ways that will forever change them as people. They felt like things were completely upended. They didn't really know what to do, regardless of how big or small the changes to their own lives were. And it's through this that I think we're going to see a lot of personal growth. I think we're not gonna, whatever happens next, we're not gonna move backwards.
Everyone has gained this new sense of empathy because we're all collectively going through this pandemic together. And I think that's a really good thing that has come out of this, and just really understanding each other.
If you're thinking about doing something, just do it. I think I've learned at this time that there are people who are losing family members all the time. There are people who can't see their friends. There are people who can't do a lot of things because of this virus. And I just think that in the future, like if you want to do something, do it. If you are holding a grudge with somebody, just don't hold a grudge, because you never know what's going to happen. Life can change so fast. For us, it changed in an instant. So I just feel like just do whatever your heart desires.
I'm hoping that the way that society is altered from this will make us a little more caring and respectful towards each other, and think about how our actions affect those around us.
I hope that maybe our generation would impart that lesson of appreciating what you have as you have it. I know looking back, and especially when this is over, I'm going to be much more grateful for everything that I have and everyone that I'm around and what I can do in life. And I hope that lesson can be passed on.
I think there's gonna, even if future generations kind of see the pandemic as just a chapter in a history book that they don't read or points in a lecture that they fall asleep to, I still feel that hopefully there are going to be things in society that are going to be changed because of this pandemic.
I hope that future generations learn to adapt to events that are unpredictable, just because I know for a fact that a lot of us weren't ready or were even expecting a pandemic, especially for it to be lasting as long as it has. So hopefully people are more prepared in the future, knowing what precautions to take in case of anything like that happens ever again. I think people taking all of these new precautions and knowing how to prepare for the future is like the most important thing right now. And I think that having this happen right now is something that has kind of shooken people to their core. And I hope that people really learn to take care of themselves and others from it.